Welcome. This video is intended as a refresher for the TEKS Resource Management System. In order to access the TEKS Resource Management System, you need to go to the JCISD webpage. You can look for that for the TEKS Resource Management System under Staff Connection. You also can access it under Departments, Curriculum and Instruction, and then the TEKS Resource Management tab. In order to log in to the TEKS Resource System, you're going to need to enter your full district email address and your password. And then you're going to click Sign In. If for some reason you don't know your password, I can reset your password and the system will then automatically generate an email sent to you, and it will give you a password that you will then, I believe, be prompted to update. I do not have access to the passwords within the system. So at this point, you're going to see Johnson City ISD at the top. It says Hello Shannon, and then you're also your button for logging out. There's a search bar as well. And so what we're going to do today is just take a look at some of the options you have within the TEKS resource system for searching. If you look here under the quick search, you can search for grade level by grade level. You can also, if we click, let's say, 8th grade, then you can go and click on social studies and search that way, or 8th grade ELA or math or science. And that's something to keep in mind. We have the TEKS in here for the core content areas. I'm going to go ahead and leave it on 8th grade and click on social studies and then search. So I'm going to scroll up to the top of my page. So what this brings up is a full listing, okay, of different things you have available to you. And as you can see, you have vertical alignment, so 5th and 8th grade and U.S. history. You have the 8th grade TEKS clarification. You have year at a glance, either by 6 or by 9 weeks. You have TEKS verification documents, again by 6 or 9 weeks. And then under the resources folder, you can see here there's several different options available to you. Everything from vocabulary to rubrics for performance assessments, and backward design elements, and I'm going to go ahead and click on that one. I'm going to go ahead and open it up, and it's going to open down here as a PDF. And I think this is an interesting document. It is, if you look at it, it's going to, on this column, identify all the units, and the units are based on the instructional focus documents within the TEKS resource management system. Then you have the overarching understandings, overarching questions, the unit understandings, unit questions, concepts, and then the performance assessments. And with those performance assessments, you can see the TEKS that are identified as well. So I'm just going to scroll through this so you can see this is a rather lengthy document. However, I think the way it's put together is pretty useful. It kind of gives you a big overall snapshot of the full year and the contents. So I think that's a pretty useful document. I'm going to go ahead and close that. And I'm going to go back. So if we keep scrolling down, I mentioned before the instructional focus documents, and so under that folder you're going to see all the different units that make up this 8th grade social studies course. And so I'm just going to go ahead and click on Unit 1. Okay, and at the top you're going to see printer-friendly versions. You might want to use that. You're able to also create your own version because you'll have a system of folders that you can utilize. At this point, we haven't been utilizing the district versions. We haven't created any, so that's not in use. You can also make a list of favorites. So if you take a look at this unit, you're going to have the overview, the overarching understandings and questions. Here is a list of the performance assessments, and what I think is kind of nice about the way this is laid out, if you hover over the standards, over the TEKS, it's going to pull up a pop-up box and actually tell you exactly what that standard is. Okay. Again, the overarching concepts and the unit understandings. It also will give you some misconceptions that the students may have that you may want to specifically be thinking about as you are teaching. It'll also address unit vocabulary. Here you'll see that the backward design document, a link to it. That was the document that we looked at right before we opened to the unit. The TEKS are also listed. And then it gives you a little more specific information based on those TEKS. It's going to identify if a TEK is a readiness or a supporting standard. And as you get towards the bottom of the document, it's going to give you your ELPs, which are your English language proficiency standards that you need to be incorporating for our students that are limited English proficient. If you want to submit feedback, you have a button there as well if you want to give some feedback regarding this document. Okay, I'm going to go back. So there you have the units, one that we looked at. And I'm going to scroll all the way back to the top. Okay. You also can look here at the Standards tab. You can view standards, browse, search, or download. Okay, let's go to browse standards. Okay, here's another way you can search. Okay, so here, this drop-down arrow, you're going to want to make sure that you are selecting that you want to look at TEKS if that's in fact what you want to look at. And maybe I'm going to be interested in science, and maybe science at grade 6. And I want to look at open up the knowledge and skills, and then also has an introduction that you can read as well, and maybe it's matter and energy, and it gives me the actual standards there. And again, you can have a PDF document. It will generate a PDF document if you'd like to have it that way. You can save it, you can print it. View standards. Again, we're going to use the TEKS, grade level, let's say 7th grade, subject, mathematics, and we want the current version, and there they are there. So just a few different ways to search.